WUSA. I just want to thank everyone who's joining us today. My name is David Kuhn, and I'm Stakeholder Relations Officer and part of the WUSA advocacy team. I'm here with my assistant, Sana. Big thank you, first of all, to the team at Waterloo Region Community Legal Services for facilitating today's sessions as well as others in the past. We're grateful for their continued partnership and support. And before I hand it over to Tanesha from WRCLS, just a couple quick notes. The presentation today will be recorded and shared online. Um, but I will say that any of the Q&A after the presentation will not be recorded, and any legal consultation will not be recorded. That will be private as well. I'm also going to drop my email in the chat. So if anybody has any comments or concerns following the session, please feel free to reach out to me. And with that, I will pass it over to Tanisha.
Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Tanesha Farquharson. I'm a licensed paralegal with Waterloo Region Community Legal Services. I do housing law. I also have a little bit of knowledge in criminal and um, ODSP in Ontario works. So for today, we're going to get into um, your tenant rights. I'm just trying to figure out how to share my screen here. Mm,
Nisha, at the bottom, there should be a green
Yeah,
button that says share.
I think I got it. Hold
Sorry,
on.
we just updated our Zoom so it looks different.
And I got the PowerPoint. Share. Can everyone see that? You're sharing.
It says that
Is
you've
it
started
working?
sharing but hasn't shown your slides
Populated
yet.
yet?
Okay, there you go.
It's working now?
Yep.
Perfect. Um, I just need to put the slideshow on here. There we go. Is that a little bit better? Perfect. So we're gonna talk about basically your rights and obligations as a tenant under the LTP, under the Residential Tenancy Act, which governs the landlord and tenant's relationship. This presentation shouldn't be interpreted as legal advice. It's only legal information. And note that the law is only current to the date of the presentation and may become out of date as legislation changes. So what is a legal clinic? We're funded by the Legal Aid Ontario. There's about 76 community legal services, legal clinics across Ontario. We're not for profit. We have a financial eligibility criteria that we use that determines whether you'll be represented or by us, or basically only um, qualifying for summary advice. Um, every community is basically served with a clinic, so there is some type of community legal clinic, whether it's mobile or um, Monday to Friday. Mobile is basically designated days and times that there would be legal staff, and then there are also um, a team of lawyers, paralegals, social workers, and community development workers and office admins that are within each legal clinic. We also offer free interpretation in any language by appointment only, and we provide services to low-income individuals and families who meet financial eligibility, as I was explaining earlier. This is our catchment area, so we provide services to all of these areas: the town of Wellesley, town of Woolship, city of Waterloo, city of Kitchener, city of Cambridge, township of North Dumfries, and the township of Wilmot. I mentioned these mobile clinics that have designated days and times. I'm not sure about each one, but I know like the Woolwich Community Services, Elmira, um, and correct me if I'm wrong, Angie, I think it's once a month we go there on a certain day.
Yes.
Yeah, and usually there's a sign-up sheet and we'll meet with clients there to provide services on their legal issues. So what we can provide is basically legal information. So just letting you know information-wise what's available out there for everybody to basically Google and search. We can just provide you legal information, legal support or advice, and that would come from our caseworkers, our lawyers, and our paralegals. And legal representation also from our lawyers and paralegals. Social workers and admin staff can provide you with legal advice in the proper process or forms that you would need to start your legal proceedings if needed. Our legal areas that we do that are in our scope of practice are housing, ODSP, OW, CPPD, employment law and employment insurance, immigration and citizenship, debt and consumer protection, name change or gender marker change, Indigenous Justice Program. We do notarization and commissioning documents, and sexual harassment in the workplace, public legal education. The only two areas that we don't provide any services is family law and criminal law. But we do make referrals out to branches as we are funded by the legal aid, and they do have services for family law and criminal law in other areas that we don't practice in. So basically, housing law is landlord and tenant relationship. Like I was saying earlier, that the Residential Tenancy Act governs that relationship. Um, and just a few basics at terminology. Landlord, obviously the person that is providing the rental premises. The tenant is the person that is utilizing the rental premises. Um, Eviction is canceling or basically terminating the landlord and tenant relationship. You're vacating the premises, the rental premises. Um, we're gonna oh, we're gonna discuss the right to an eviction hearing in front of the LTB and the right to enforce tenant issues in front of the landlord and tenant board. Landlord's obligations under maintenance and repairs, unlawful entry by the landlord, harassment by another tenant or the landlord, illegal rent or charges, additional fees, rent arrears or utilities arrears, eviction notices, um, basically proper eviction notices and what is improper. Um, and then I guess an introduction to the LTB and the fact that we only represent tenants, so we don't represent landlords, but we do refer them out to the self-help care. So things to expect before you rent rental premises. Landlords asking for a credit check is legal. Key deposits are legal. Um, if you want to end your tenancy as a tenant, you have to give 60 days notice to your landlord. And that needs to be done on an LTB form. If you are evicted and the landlord has the right to go, if you are evicted, the landlord has to go through the right channels to evict you, and only a sheriff can remove you from your rental premises and your belongings from your unit. Without an order or an order from the LTB ordering the landlord to put in an order to the sheriff, you won't need to leave the rental premises until that process is completed. Before you move into your unit, we recommend that you take pictures in case of any allegations of damage. Um, and the government sends out a guideline of rental increases for residential tenancies each year. So in regards to rental increases, there's a cap for 2025 and it's 2.5%. This is also available on Google if you just searched what I just said, rental increase guideline cap, and put the year. I'll tell you what the percentage is just to make sure that your landlord's lawfully raising the rent. I keep rolling this thing, sorry guys. And then the legal rent increase, the landlord must provide you with the notice of rent increase form. It needs to be 90 days before the intent to actually collect that rental increase. And they can only increase the rent every 12 months, once every 12 months. Rental increases in residential units. So different rules apply for social housing and care homes. There's no rent control for newly occupied units on or before November the 15th, 2018. Um, so if it was prior to November 15th, 2018, then your rent would stay the same. A rent increase above the guideline requires the LTB's approval, which is known as an above guideline increase. And they would have to apply to the board to request why they're asking for the above guideline increase. Um, Costs related to security services, extraordinary expenses and municipal taxes, charges or utilities or capital expenses would be reasons why the landlord would ask for an above guideline increase. Tenants have 1 year to dispute the illegal rent increase or illegal charges. So we're gonna do a quick quiz. Do we have a good amount of people for a quiz? Let me just see here. Oh, we had a few people join us. Okay. So true or false? And I guess is the comment section open, Angie?
It is open.
Okay, so everyone can just put what they think the answer is. I share an apartment with other tenants, and one of them is allergic to cats. My landlord told me I must remove my cat or I could be evicted. Do you think that's true or false?
So Tanesha, at the
Hmm.
top of your screen, there should be a button that says display settings. Right now it's showing like your current slide and your next slide. So the answer is actually kind of given away.
No way.
Spoiler.
Okay, so how do I take that off?
There should be a button that says display settings with an arrow. If you hit that,
Oh
it should
man,
give
so
you another
everyone knows
option.
it. Okay, hold on.
Just this one. It's all good.
Display settings. No,
Um,
no, it doesn't. It's slide control.
Maybe that.
Yeah, or the layout maybe.
I
Content
can see the
only.
button. Second.
Oh no. Maybe I can like just close this, can't I?
You can try.
No,
Um,
I can't close
it's
that.
okay.
Okay, well, we'll
Try
go to
not to
the
peek,
next slide.
folks.
Yeah, right?
So someone
I
answered
thought
in
I
the
had it.
chat true to your
Yeah,
question.
true. Okay, the answer is false. So it's illegal to evict someone in the wind. Oh, is that the right one? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're on the right
So,
one.
okay, I am. Okay, perfect. I was reading the other one. So it's false. The fact that you share your apartment with the other tenants and one of them is allergic to a cat, the landlord told me that you must remove your cat or you could be evicted, is that's not the legal process to go through solving the situation. They can't verbally tell you that you could be evicted. Um, they would have to find other ways to basically, oh, I see the thing now, to basically resolve the issue. Okay, is that better?
That's
There we
perfect.
go. There we go.
Thanks.
Welcome. Okay, so the next one is is it legal to evict someone in the winter? True or false?
Someone said false.
False. The answer is true. It's illegal to evict someone in the winter. Um, Next question is tenants are not required to sign a new lease annually.
I
True
think,
or
sorry,
false?
I think you just
Oh,
said illegal to evict, but it's legal to evict someone in the winter.
yeah. Is it legal to evict someone in the winter?
So it is legal. I just want to make sure because I think you said illegal.
Okay, no, it's legal to evict someone in the winter. And then the next one is tenants are not required to sign a new lease annually.
Someone said true.
True? That's correct. Tenants are not required to sign a new lease annually. They just move your lease if you continue to stay in the rental premises will just go on a month-to-month basis, but the 60 days of termination of the landlord and tenancy relationship would still be in effect. So the eviction process, the basics are that tenants have security deed to tenor, meaning that unless the tenant has given notice or the agreement has ended, or the tenancy, sorry, has the agreement to end the tenancy has been reached, an eviction order has been issued by the LTB, the tenancy will continue. So you don't need to, like I said, sign a new lease. It will just continue as a month to month from then on, until someone files for eviction or someone gives notice that they're trying to terminate the tenancy. It doesn't terminate at the end of the lease term, neither is the tenant obligated to sign a new lease, stay in the unit. So notice of termination, this is basically how it would go. If you are served with a notice of termination, it's served to the tenant. The landlord files an application with the LTB. If the tenant disagrees with termination of the tenancy, like the relationship, you would go to the board and provide your reasons. The landlord would provide their reasons as to why they want to end the tenancy. The board will hold a virtual hearing, and that's where the submissions would happen. The LTB hearing results basically in an eviction order or a stay of the application or a dismissal of the application. And then if it's not dismissed, an eviction order is enforced by a sheriff, and the landlord would have to apply to the sheriff for that to happen. Um, so an example of an eviction notice, this is an N12. There's a and before the notices, that means that the landlord has to use these notices to put the tenant on notice about what they're looking to do, and provide a reason as to why they're asking for the termination. So for this example, an N12 is because the landlord or the purchaser or a family member requires the rental unit. So they'd fill all of this out and they would say, we need you to be terminated by a certain date, which would be put right here. And then provide a reason. So reason one says that the following person intends to move into the rental unit and occupy it for at least 1 year. Um, Second option is a person who provides or will be providing care services to another option here. And then um, sorry, that was and then reason two would be that a purchaser, basically, you signed an agreement with the purchase of sale and that person wants the whole unit or they want to not continue tenancy. They want the whole house or the whole building, whichever it is. Um, and an N4 is another notice that could be given, and that could be for like rent arrears. That's letting you know usually those are served as warnings, but if you don't comply with paying whatever rent arrears that you owe, which is an N4 notice, then on the date of termination, they'll file an application, and that would basically start this process where the landlord files an application with the board. So there's a bunch of end notices and they all mean different things. I think Mark is asking if this will be recorded. It is going to be recorded up until the point of question Q&A and consultations. Another question here. Your landlord can come into your unit whenever they want, true or false? We got three falses and you guys are correct. The landlord must provide you with 24 hours notice. Um, and it must be for basically they have to provide the notice and they have to provide the reason as to why they need to access the rental unit. Um, Entry with notice must be, here you go, minimum 24 hours, and it must indicate the date, time, and purpose of the entry. The time of the entry must be between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Anytime there is an emergency situation or the tenant's consent at the time of the entry, carry out housekeeping duties if provided in the tenancy agreement, or to show the unit to prospective tenants if the parties have agreed to end the tenancy or give notice of termination has been given or notice of termination has been given. No notice is required for any of those instances. Another question here. Your landlord can charge you extra for air conditioning. True or false? Now we got one false. And the answer is true. They can charge for the air conditioning as long as they put sorry, extra for the air conditioning as long as they put that in the term in the lease agreement. They can't charge you for it afterwards unless there's been let's say an addendum, which meaning there's a written contract to the lease agreement and you've in that wording is in there, it's addendum to the lease. They're charging for the air conditioning. Another question here. My lease expires in 8 months. I got a great job opportunity in Northern Ontario and need to relocate. I can end my tenancy immediately. True or false? Hmm. It's false. Right, this thing is for me. It's false. So you can't end your tenancy immediately. We have to provide that 60-day notification to the landlord. And that would be done on a notice as well, which is an N4 form, or sorry, an N9 form. And you would provide that to your landlord, letting them know that you want to end it within 60 days and give the following reasons that are outlined there. Options to give notice of termination. So you can negotiate an early termination with your landlord using an N9 to end the tenancy. Um, Assign the rental unit to somebody else. If the 60 days is not doable. And consider subletting the unit with the landlord's consent, or legal financial consequences for vacating without notice or agreement will be basically infringed upon you because of the contractual agreement you signed with the landlord. Another question here, your landlord can charge you for the bed bug treatments. True or false? So it's true and false. Um, Basically, it depends. This all depends on how the bed bugs got there, I believe. But like it's a very thin area. If it's something like a building that is prone to bed bugs, then obviously that would be something that they would charge. If it's something where it's like a more isolated event because it's a dwelling like a house and it's just a separate unit, then you could possibly be subject to the cost of the bug treatment. So your landlord must go through the landlord and tenant board to evict you. True or false? I haven't been checking the chat, sorry. True or false?
Someone said true.
That's correct. The landlord must go through the landlord and tenant board to evict you through a notice and application. Sorry, 1 second. Apologies. So the landlord must go through. It's just going. The landlord must go through the board to evict you. Like I said, with the notice. It needs to start with an N, and then if you don't agree with the notice that is provided to you for termination, then it would go to the board through an application with the landlord, serving you with the application and applying to the board to evict you and asking for them to supply that order so that it can go through to the sheriff's office. Other landlord obligations are not to harass or threaten the tenant. Same obligations apply to the tenant with respect to the landlord. Um, they cannot hold or interfere with any reasonable supplies of vital services, so water, heater, hydro, gas, fuel, or food or slash care services when applicable. So if you're paying for heat and hydro and water and like it's all inclusive or it's separate. If there's any issues with that, then you can ask for a rent abatement because those services weren't, it depends on how long they were out of service for you, but you can ask for rent abatement. That's how that would be fixed through the LTB. It can't be withheld um, due to you not paying rent at any point in time or any other reason. The landlord can't withhold any of those reasonable supplies of vital services. They cannot change the locking system without giving you entry to the unit, meaning providing a replacement key. And this obligation also applies to tenants. So if you change the locks yourselves due to personal reasons or anything like that, you also have to provide the landlord a replacement key to the rental premises. And they can interfere with your reasonable enjoyment of the rental unit, meaning reasons that people go to the board, tenants usually go to the board for this is if landlords are doing illegal entries and they're just showing up at the unit without any notice, or they're using other tenants around them if you're in like a complex or a building to harass you basically. Um, that would be interfering with your reasonable enjoyment of the unit. Tips for when tenants are dealing with tenancy issues. So let the landlord know about the problem immediately and document each step to have the issues addressed. So gather as much evidence as you can. I usually tell my clients to write everything down right after it happens because recalling what happens is a lot harder and also proving what happens is a lot harder. Um, we can establish pattern of landlords, but it's really hard to assert evidence when you're trying to like prove evidence when you for your hearings when you're trying to basically get the adjudicator to understand the situation. And then maintain written communication with the landlord as much as possible. And keep receipts of any expenses. Uh, Contact municipal or provincial authorities, by law enforcement or fire department, police, rental housing enforcement unit, um, and advise the landlord of any accommodations under the human rights that you need, if applicable, and seek help and legal advice, to know your options and rights. A listing of housing community resources will be provided at the end of the slide, I believe. And if you go on our website, you'll find these little tip sheets that Angie has made for us. And 13s, it just describes what the reasons are and basically helps you walk through the form. Any type of repair request form for tenants, the eviction process and understanding N12 notices and the N4, which is the rent arrears, understanding that, and providing you with your information for your rights, basically. Um, So here's our contact information. Our website's there, phone and walk-in. We have a Cambridge office also at Lang's. Um, and there's YouTube videos about your rights as well that you can watch that's a little bit more for visual and easier understanding. These are legal resources that you can use just to type in what issues you're facing basically. And they'll provide you with information. It's not advice, but legal information about how to go about or what next steps are. Um, Pro Bono Ontario does no family and criminal law, but they'll give you free advice. It's a hotline that you could call. The Landlord and Tenant Board. They have rules and guideline forms that will, and the forms itself are pretty um, self-efficient if you go through the instruction on how to fill them up to ensure that they're filled out correctly, or if the landlord has filled them out correctly, any notices that you receive or need to give to the landlord. The Law Society referral site is they do all scope of all areas of law. We refer our people that need family or criminal to there. You get a 30-minute consultation for free. And you just got to sign up and someone will contact you, a paralegal or a licensed, or sorry, a lawyer or a licensed paralegal will contact you. And then Steps to Justice is simple legal information for people in Ontario. I like to use this one. It's pretty easy to follow through. Finding legal information or processes, next steps in legal processes. And we're at questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much, Tanisha. I'm gonna stop the recording now, so if anybody has
Okay.
questions, they're free to ask.